If you like my content, please like and click on the subscribe button. Click on the drop down and select All to see regular updates.
Greetings everyone, it's great to have you here on the Data Sculptor channel once again. Today we are discussing about Power Pivot in Excel. So Power Pivot is nothing but a simple add-in, default add-in in Excel. So it is primarily used for data analysis, and the main uses are data modeling. So data modeling means it allows users to import and integrate large data set from multiple sources into Excel. So you can import data from other Excel files, SharePoint file, SQL Server database, or anything. I'll show you mainly what all sources you can extract the data from, and also you can create relationships between the tables for analysis. And next is data analysis. So users can create or perform complex calculations, say like creating custom measures or building sophisticated data models to analyze large volumes of data. And next thing is data visualization. So using the Power Pivot you created, you can create interactive and dynamic reports and dashboards using the pivot tables, pivot charts, and other visualization tools. Also, you can create advanced calculations. So you can create calculated columns and measures using DAX, so which is a powerful formula engine. And this you can use perform calculations which are not possible with standard Excel functions. And next is business intelligence. It empowers users to gain insights into the data, identify trends, patterns, and outliers, and make data driven decisions for their organizations. So this also helps to improve the business. So overall, Power Pivot enhances Excel's capabilities for handling large and complex data sets, and enabling advanced data analysis and visualization within the familiar Excel environment. So hope you all understand what Power Pivot is. Now let's see how to install the Power Pivot plugin. So first thing, so this is the file. I already have some data, some tables created for you. So what we'll do is, using the Power Pivot option, let's create a pivot, and let's create some let's generate some insights out of this data. So first thing, I'll install the Power Pivot. So whenever I install the Power Pivot add-in, you will see a option over here named Power Pivot. So for that, I'll go to the file options, go to the options, and here if you see Excel options, here if you see, go to the add-ins, and here you'll see manage. You need to go to the com add-ins, and you click on go. So here you'll have multiple options. So you need to click on Microsoft Power Pivot for Excel. So this is a default add-in available in Excel. You need not download anything. So you can just add Power Pivot in this way, and you can click on OK. And if you click on OK, you'll see this Power Pivot option. So once you see the Power Pivot option, you'll see all these options like manage, measures. So measures, KPIs, detect relationship settings. You can have multiple settings. Here there are multiple settings, and these are not immediate, these are not required as much. But if you do not see the Power Pivot option, I suggest you to restart your Excel. So once you restart your Excel, this Power Pivot add-in should be visible. So now what we'll do, we'll onboard all this data into the Power Pivot. So first thing, I'll do Control A, and I'll click this table, and I need to click to add to data model. So once I click this add to data model, Power Pivot window will be created. So this is how you will see the Power Pivot window. So table is getting created, and so table is getting created. So you can rename this table. Since this is a sales table, I'll rename this as sales. So here if you see, you can see the sales option, sales table option. You can rename this table to sales, and you can click on Alt Tab, and you can see the next. Again, you can just Control A, and this entire table, go to again, do click on add to data model, and this your date model, your date table will be imported. So this is date. And next we'll go to the product. So again, click on add to data model, and your product is also imported successfully. And next is customer. So again, add to data model. Customer. So the customer table is inserted, and next you have to go to the store table. So add to data model. So store is also added to the data model. So now this is how we have imported the existing Excel data into the Power Pivot. Also, you can import data using these options. If you go to home, you see this get external data. So from this, if you click on from database, you can get it from SQL Server or from Access DB or the analysis servers or another existing Power Pivot. Or if you click on OData data feed, so OData data feed you can have, if you have any data feed URL, you can use that. And if you have some existing from other sources, so if you see, these are the sources from where you can pull the data: SQL Server, SQL Azure Server, Azure Database. Uh, um, these are analytics platform, Access Database, Oracle. You have many things like Excel file, text file, Microsoft Analysis Service, OLEDB, ODBC. These are some of the main databases from where you can pull the data. So once we have pulled the data, next step is you can go to click on the diagram view. So once you pull the data, what you need to do is you need to create relationships between the tables. So if you see this data, all these are dimensions. So for date you have date ID. So if you click on the diagram view, if you unclick on this, you'll go to the main. You can click on the data view, and you can go to the data. So if you see the store table, it is, if you can understand that it is simple store, A, B, C, D, E, F, and it is location, state and country, and its ID. So if you see, the primary key over here is you have the store ID as well as the store name. So generally, if you have both store ID and store name, it is always a good practice to consider the store ID as a primary key. And next is customer. So simple again, customer ID, customer name, city, state and country. And again, you have customer name can be duplicate, so multiple persons can have the same name, so this cannot be the primary key. So customer ID in this case should be the primary key. And again, product ID is the primary key. And date ID is the primary key. For every day, for every date, one new integer column is created, which is the date ID. And next is the sales, which is the fact table. So sales has the sale ID, date ID, product ID, customer ID, store ID, quantity, and total amount. So sale ID is something which you can ignore. So here basically an ID is generated for each and every transaction that happened in the store. So sale ID is something you can ignore. This is basically the primary key, but you're here in this fact table, you're more interested in the foreign keys. So here date ID is a foreign key, product ID is a foreign key, customer ID is a foreign key, and store ID is a foreign key. And here you have the total amount and total quantity. So now, since we understood the tables, now let's go back to diagram view and see how we can create relationships. So data ID is there and sales data ID is there. So I'll just drag this data ID and keep it over here and drag it over here. So if you see one to many relationship, so one to many means, so one means this date ID as always has unique values in this column. That's why it is one. And if a star is shown, that means this date ID has duplicate values, because this is a foreign key, and one day multiple sales can happen. So this is fine. And relationship is single directional from the one to many. That means whenever you create any measure in the sale from the sales table, or if you want to slice this sales data, you can slice it using the date table. So I'll show you how that works in the next few minutes. Also product ID to product. So you can join the product tables. And similarly, customer ID is also there, customer ID to customer ID. So here basically one to many is created, but here we need in the reverse way. So here also one to many is created, but okay, I think we cannot change this. So what I'll do, I'll go to the data view, and in the sale, if you see here customer ID, it is unique, Seems like a customer has purchased only once. So what we'll do for a better understanding, we'll add some more data in sales. So I'll create one more 21 2024 0111. Customer ID, product ID is 1002 and 2001 3002. So now we have added this data, new row, and now let's go back to this diagram view. And if you see, now we'll see try to create a relationship. And if you see, now it's created a one-to-many relationship. So now all the required relationships are created, and so now data can be sliced and diced with the from the dimension to the facts. So next thing is, after you have created the required relationships, now what you need to do, let's create some simple measures. Okay, so let's go. This is the sales, and this is the total amount. Sales quantity is there, and so now what we'll do, we'll just create simply two measures. Total amount. First one is amount. So here it is, amount is simply sum of total amount. So sum of total amount, and if you click on enter, so it will take some time. So basically Excel, the drawback or the cons in Excel is very slow. So you need to be careful with the amount of data you are importing. Basically I generally use Excel for any POC purpose. Like if I want to try something new, I'll take some sample data and play with the pivot Excel power pivot option to do the analysis. Okay, now here amount measure is created, simple. And next one is quantity, total quantity. So here if I try to create a measure with name quantity, it will not be created because there is already a column with name quantity, so quantity will not be created. So sum of quantity, sales quantity. Okay, so if you see, the measure or column with the name quantity already exists, so that's why here I'll use total quantity. And if I click on enter, so this is the measure will be created. It is this is the measure, and if you see, and if you hover it, you see total 60 number of items are sold out, and it has generated around 1260, whether it's dollars or rupees, whatever. So now measures are required relationships are created and simple measures are created. Next thing what we'll have to do is, let's play with this. So let's go to a pivot table. So once you click on the pivot table, it will take you to the Excel, and let's go to the existing worksheet. So now let's go to a new page. So let's click on okay. For now, let's click on cancel. So let's create a new page here, and now here let's go back to this power pivot and next click on pivot table option. And now here existing worksheet sheet 6. So this is the pivot table which is created. So if you see here, the pivot, you will see customer, date, product, sales and store. And so if you expand this customer, you'll see all the required columns. And if you expand sales, you'll see something with FX. So FX are nothing but the measures you have created. So just click on amount and total quantity. You'll see that amount and total quantity. And similarly, if you want to see by store name, you can drag it in the rows, and you can see each store how much of amount is being generated and how much total quantity is being sold out. So if you sum of this, you'll still get 1260, and if you sum this, you'll get 60. So this is how you can see by store. And if you don't want to see by store, let's say you want to see by city, let's drag city, and you see with each city how much it is generating. And if you select country, only USA is there, so USA data will be shown. And next, now say let's drag in store name, okay, and say drag in the product also. So let's see each store what all products and total amount it is generated. So store A, for A, B, C, this is the amount, and for store B, ABC, this is the amount, and this is how. So now what this, if you see, this is not in a proper format. So now let's go to the pivot table analyze options. If you go click on this, you'll see multiple things: change data source, insert set. These are not required. So let's go back to the design, and here if you see subtotals, if you want to see subtotals, no. If you don't want to see subtotals, you can click on no. And grand totals also you can not required. Report layout, if you click on show in tabular form, this will be in a simple table it will be shown. And if you want these values to be filled out instead of showing blanks, so you need to insert blank line after each item. So this is also not the correct way. Report layout, repeat all item labels. If you click on repeat all item labels, so wherever is the blank, it will be filled with the required value. So now if you see for store A, product 8 has generated 80 rupees, for product B 80, and something like this. So this is the power of relationships. And and next thing again, so what will we do now? So let's create one more table to understand more. So now what I'll do, I'll remove everything. So if you do not use any measures, basically you will see a cross join between these two tables, store and product. That is because when you will see a cross join whenever there is no relationship between the two tables. So if you go to the data model, here again, click on the data diagram, we don't have any relationship between the store table and the product. So that's why since there is no relationship, you do not see any slicing happening. So that is if you want any slicing happening, you need to establish a relationship between these two tables. Okay, so now you don't have any relationship, so that's why cross join is happening. So now what, I'll again go to the data model, and here I'll go to the data view. Here I will instead of pivot table, say I'll create a pivot chart. So in the existing, say instead of I6 we'll use N6. So here this pivot chart is there. You can see filters, legend, series, axis. So let's keep date in the axis, and in the values let's keep sales amount. So if you see, a simple power bar graph is created, and if you want to change this chart, you can go to the design. You can see multiple options here. So if you click this will be updated, and like this you can update whatever way you want. And similarly, if you want more, say if you click like this, you can change the properties. You can go to the properties and play with the axis, and again you can change however you want. If you want to remove these labels, you can remove. You can play whatever you want. You can have a lot of options over here. You can go to the design format and play with the required axis. And also if you want to change color, so yeah, like if you want green color or like this, you can play with whatever way you want. Okay, and next thing, now I'll go back here, pivot table, say maybe let's go chart and table, horizontal, and so in the existing worksheet, say in W. Okay, so I think it got created here. So sales again, total quantity, and store name, store A, store B, like this it will be created. And if you click on this, switch row to column, and so this is how it will be. Okay, so if you want to change the chart type, instead of going bar graph, if you want to click on some other chart type, you can go change chart type, go to the line, go to click. If you want line chart, you can use this, or if you want a pie chart, you can use this. So you can go to the change chart type and play with whatever charts you want. Okay, so if you want pie chart, this is how you create pie chart. So this is how you can use the Excel pivot data and play with the data. And next thing what I'll explain you is uh, yeah, so we need to understand the meaning of date importance of the date table. Okay, so there are some inbuilt there are some inbuilt date functions in DAX, like total MTD, total QTD, total YTD. So they deal with the date table. So if you want to use those functions, then you need to mark one of your tables in your model as a date table. So for this, in this example, since date table is there, I'll mark it as a date table, and we need to select a column to be used as unique identifier for the date table. The selected column must be of the date data type and must contain unique values. So date data type means only date column is there, and we'll click on OK. So now this is marked as date table. Still it is in progress. So yeah, this is marked as date table now. Yeah, if you click on here, it is marked as date table. So now again in sales, I'll go back, maybe create total. So in the sales table, now I will create this measure, total YTD. So YTD is nothing but year to date. So the function is simple, total YTD. This is an inbuilt DAX function, and this takes an expression. If you see the parameters, first one is expression. So expression will use directly the amount measure. So basically this total YTD function will give you the cumulative count, cumulative sum, and next we need to mention the date. So date, so date of date, we'll mention this, and we can just click on enter. So once you click on enter, the measure should be created. So the measure is getting created, and this will take some time. So yeah, the measure got created, and now once you have created the measure, so you can go back to the data model, and if you see these charts, so the data model got refreshed because the new measure got created. So if you expand the product, if you expand the sales, you should see this new measure created. So now what we'll do, we'll use this total YTD measure as well. So if you see the total YTD measure on Jan 1st, the amount is 60 and total YTD is also 60, and on Jan 2nd it is 100, and the total YTD is the sum is the amount value starting from Jan 1st. So from Jan 1st, what is the total amount till date? So basically this is a cumulative sum, and on Jan 3rd it is sum of Jan 1st, 2nd and 3rd. That's how it will goes till the end. So this is how if you do not mark that particular table as date table, this function will not work and will not be able to see. So basically there are some in DAX you have some default time intelligence functions, and in order to use that you need to mark a table as date table. So this is the same concept either in SSH tabular model or also in the Power BI. So that is the same, nothing changed in both of them. So till now we have understood how to create this Power Pivot, how to install the Power Pivot, how to onboard the data, how to create relationships, how to create measures, and how to create charts. So these are the main uses of Power Pivot. Also you can Power Pivot, there are other options like you can create calculated columns as well. So calculated columns, I'll create your calculated column. So here so say this is a calculated column, say or otherwise weekday. So you can create any column, say Q1. Okay, I think the quarter is already there. Okay, no need to add this. So it is taking time to load. So yeah, either it is week. um, so weekday, if you use this function and if you use the date column, so date of date, it will give you whether it is first day, second day, third day, or fourth day. And so it will take some time for the calculations to happen, because this is a completely an in-memory way of mechanism. So the speed of at which the calculations happen, or the speed at which your model gets created, is based on your RAM. So now the weekday got created. So 2, 3, 4, 5. This is how you can create a calculated column. And if you can go to the Excel, you can go to the Excel pivot, and if you click on the Excel pivot, if you see the data model is getting changed, so in the background refresh is happening. And so if you expand the date column, let's see if, yeah, week is already created. So this is how you create a calculated column also. And some more other things are also there which are not much important, but it's good for you to know. This is sort by column. Sort by column is okay, not that important. Design, calculate options, okay, these are not that important. Advanced. So this is perspectives. So perspectives, you can create perspectives. So perspective, these are say you can create a perspective A and one more perspective B. So you can select all the tables. So when you suppose if you want to give this Excel pivot to a user, and you do not want to show the say the product table for the user, you can just deselect this. And for this person B, if you do not want to show this store data, you can unselect this. And if you click on OK, two perspectives will be created, A and B. And whenever user wants to pull the data from the Power Pivot model, they can select the perspectives A and B. So you can ask the user to use the perspective A. However, this is not a security; it's just visualization purpose. So visualization purpose, if you want to see few tables instead of the entire models, then you have to use this perspective. So it's not that important, but still it's good for you to know. So yeah, that's all. These are the main things which are helpful in Power Pivot. So hope you all like this video. If you all like this video, please click on the like button, so that YouTube will know that you are enjoying the video. And I'll create an Excel playlist and also start adding new videos on Excels, because I feel Excel is one of the important tool for any data related role. Thank you. Have a nice day.